Well, hello folks, this is Fat Guy Flies RC, and this is the X-Fly C-17 Quad 40. Let's go over, we're going to be going over how setting it up with a Spektrum AR631, how to bind it, how to get it set up in your receiver and your transmitter, setting up forward programming, your rates, the whole ball of wax, get her flight ready. Let's get to it. Now, to let you know, what I've already done is set up a profile in my transmitter, which is an IX14. I've already named the model, okay, and I've already got the picture picked for the C-17, okay? Now, and I've already bound it. That's all I've done. I haven't done anything else. I haven't even selected a wing type yet. So let me show you real quick, okay, where I've got everything. But I haven't really, like I say, this is just a bone stock just to control the aircraft. Okay. I have inside there a 3300 4S that's not even charged all the way. It's only at 50%. That's an AR631, the antenna going back, and I've got my wires all zip tied together to keep them out of the way. Now the receiver's going this way. So in this case, throttle's in channel 1, ailerons in channel 2, elevators in channel 3, rudders in channel 4. You skip channel 5 because that would be for gear, and then flap is in channel 6. And that's where I've stopped, like I said, other than naming the model and setting my timers. So, all right, so now we're ready to actually get started. I haven't even made sure, I haven't even hooked up the flaps yet, haven't picked up a wing type or anything. Well, I have got CG worked out, but we'll talk about that in a minute. It is highly important for you to figure out where your CG is. And actually, let's go ahead and talk about it. CG on this plane is 145 millimeters back from the leading edge root. I've got some little glue marks there. Okay, let me put my hatch back on. With the 3300 where I've got it, 3300 4S where I've got it, you should get CG. I'm going to check it now. I've got my little glue marks. I got 145 written on there with a Sharpie. Okay. And now I can feel them little glue marks. And she CG's pretty darn good right there. Okay. So I know that where I have my receiver and where I've got my battery, they're not going to conflict with each other. That's why you want to have your CG worked out, have your battery where you're going to have it worked out before you place your receiver. Okay, and then you need to make sure you put your receiver to where the antenna is not going to be right up against your battery or right up against the carbon fiber. In this case, it's just running back here freely. Okay, in fact, probably can see it. Okay, it's just right there. What I'll just do is I'll just tape it to the side. Okay. All right, but like I say, it's just freely hanging back there. I'll tape it down. All right, so now we know I have bound the model. I've got communication between the transmitter and the plane, but that's it. Okay, well, let's take a look and let's start setting this model up electronically. Okay. Oh, it's got a nice hard plastic nose. It's not going to rock forward, so that's good. That's a good thing. So if you want to stand it in the corner, you know, like that, and somewhere, it's not going to hurt the foam because it's got a hard plastic nose up front there. All right, now before we go any further, let's get you positioned where you can see this transmitter for me. All right, now here's what's important. Before we go any further, I want you to pay attention to that aileron over there. Okay, if I go right aileron, that's correct, right? All right, now look at the other elevator, or the aileron. It does just fine. Now, let's do elevator. Uh-oh, that elevator should be going up, not down. Okay, what about my rudder? If I go right rudder, this rudder should turn this way. It doesn't, it does just the opposite. Okay, so that means before we go any further, we got to get these control surfaces correct. But before we do that even, let's go to model setup, and we want to go to aircraft type. Okay, and we need to pick what kind of wing this is. And it's one aileron, one flap. Okay, now we can go back. Oh look,
Holds 1.
Okay, well, because I lost communication. Okay, I heard the flap servo, but remember, we don't have the flaps hooked up yet. Let's go back and let's get these control surfaces going the right way. Servo setup. Okay, we know our aileron's okay, but our rudder is backwards, and we know our elevator's backwards. Okay, so let's look at the elevator now. Okay, the elevator's right. Okay, and the rudder is right now. Ailerons are still in good shape. Okay, all right. So let's go to our flap system now. Okay. Okay. And we need to pick where we want to control our flaps. Okay. Now that I've got it ready to receive, I'm going to switch, pick the D. So it went to D. All right. Alrighty, I got the flaps positioned and I got them worked out. So I'm going to show you how that looks. Okay. Okay, flaps up. That's where the flaps up. You can see the meter's at -100 or at 0. Okay. Take off flaps. Take it to almost basically 15. And then landing takes it to almost 25, which that's by the book. Okay. Now, let me show you how that looks on the Spektrum transmitter. Okay. All right. So, flaps up will be nothing. Takeoff flaps are -60, and landing flaps will be a -100 based upon how I have these flaps positioned in the holes of the servo arms. Okay? And that's that's by the book. It's pretty close. I mean, it's supposed to be 15 and I'm at about 13. And it's supposed to be at 25 and I'm about 23. So pretty darn close. I'd rather have a little less than too much. It doesn't say anything about a flap to elevator mix, but we're going to be using the same procedure to figure out the rates. Okay. Now I only do rates on elevators, flaps, ailerons, and elevators. I do not do anything for rudder. Rudder I always do 100% with like 50% expo and I'm done with it. That's just how I do it. Now, we're not talking about forward program or anything. We're going to talk about rates and expo. Now, we need to assign this to a switch. Okay? Right off the bat, let me go ahead. Let's do the rudder real quick. I'm going to leave the rudder on. I like 50% expo because it's a small little model. Okay, and I'm done with it. I'm just doing 100% throws with 50% expo on the rudder. And that's it. And that's why I leave that alone. Okay? Now, but for the aileron and the elevator, okay, I need to assign it to a switch. So like we did with flaps, I like using my G switch. Okay? Now, when I have the G switch all the way up, to me that's the highest position. Okay? So, aileron, highest position up here at 100%. And let's take a look what the book says. The book says aileron high is 70% in Spektrum. So for high rate, I'm going to take that down to 70. And I'm going to pick 30% expo. And that's what they pick. That's what they're saying. The expo's up to you, but I'm picking 30%. Okay, now I'm going to go to the middle position. And that takes it back to 100. Well, if the high is 70 and then the low is 55, I need to pick a number, since I'm in my mid rates now, I need to pick a number between 70 and 55. So let's go with 60. I mean, between 70 and 55. So let's just go with 65. Okay? And then on my And on the expo, 30 still. Okay. And then for my low rate, put my low rate position on aileron. And it says 50. I think that's what it said. Let me make sure. It said 55. Okay, I think it said 55. Yeah, 55%. Okay, so 55. And then we'll hit click OK. And my expo, I'm going to drag that over to 30. Okay, now, elevate. Okay, I'm back. Back. Okay, here's how I worked it out. Ailerons for low rate, this is by the book, 55, 30% expo. Mid rate, 65, 30% expo. High rate, 70 with 30% expo. Elevator, high, 85, mid 70, low 65, 30% expo. And then on my rudder, 100%, 50% expo, and just on. Okay, now let's take a look at that aileron. Okay, this is the high rate aileron. That's that 70. What did I say it was? That's that 70%. Okay, now this is the 65% aileron, and this is the low percent aileron. Now, let's take a look at our elevator. And this is where you just change the numbers. You just change them percentages until you get the rates the way you're supposed to by the book. According to the rate, this is low, and that's 85. Okay, so that's about 15 millimeters up or down. Okay, the high rate is 85, and that's about 22 millimeters up or down, and that's the percentages. And then the millimeters they give you for high rate elevator, for high elevator is 15 millimeters, low rate 12 millimeters, but they give you spectrum percentages, which are make it a little bit higher, 20% for high, and 65% for low. So it's a little bit higher with the percentages. So that's okay. It'll still be just fine. Alrighty. That's, of course, if I've got this sit on here, just perfect too. Yeah, it's a lot of this gets down to how she feels when she flies. The main thing is that I got my rates and everything pretty much by the book. Got her set up with all my control throws are going the right way. Okay. And basically, she's basically ready to fly now, but we have this nice expensive receiver, okay? This AR631, and she's ready for forward programming now, okay? So, let's do that. All right. To do this, you have to verify that everything in there, this is the most important step right here. Make sure all your control surfaces are going the right way, because otherwise you're telling the computer that is the right position, and it's going to set the gyros accordingly. All right. So if you don't take anything else away from forward programming, do this. Make sure everything is going the correct way. All right, now, we have recorded everything for the basic setup, CG, flat position, flying rates, all that, timer, everything's set. Now we're ready to go to the next step of forward programming. But this receiver has already been used in another model, and it already has safe and everything set up already. So I need to show you how to take this transmitter or this receiver and take her back to factory specs. Take it back to factory reset it. Okay, it's not going to change the settings in the model. Okay, make sure I've already got a throttle cut set, which is my H. Okay, see? Oh, that's on. Oh, that's right, I don't have a throttle cut. Okay, that's fine. Say I didn't have that set up. Let's do a throttle cut. Throttle cut. Pick what switch. I like H. Okay, I'm going to leave it in the up position. And we're going to go back. All right. And my throttle does not work. Now, watch this. Put the in the on position. In other words, the throttle should work. And the nice thing I barely touch it and I've got throttle response. That tells me that my ESCs are calibrated, so I don't have to worry about that. All right, now the throttle cut is on. See, I'm now ready to do forward programming. All right, or I'm ready to take care of the receiver. Okay, now, if you get to this screen here, go to Other Settings. Go to Factory Reset. Hit Apply. Okay? Now you got to rebind. The receiver automatically puts itself in bind mode.
Bind complete. DSMX 22 milliseconds. Telemetry.
Now, we need to verify again. I've learned this through bitter experience. Now make sure that throttle cut is still working correctly. Okay? So I'm going to take throttle cut off. Good. Now this may happen. Oh, it didn't. Okay, throttle cut's still working correctly. Sometimes with some ESCs, once you've gone through factory reset it and you turn the throttle back off, they bump up to 15%. In this case, it remembered it, so we're in good shape. All right, so now we can proceed with normal forward program. And again, right aileron is correct, left aileron is correct, up elevator is right, down elevator is right, right rudder is correct, left rudder is correct, and the flaps are still the way I left them. Okay, so we are ready. We are ready. Okay, now we're going to change positions real quick. And when I'm telling you I'm doing something, you're just going to have to believe me, because I can't be in two places at once. Okay, now remember it doesn't have all those settings now. It had other stuff down here. We're going to go to gyro settings first. First time setup. Okay, make sure that all the stuff is going the right way. All our control surfaces. Once again, is everything going the right way? Yes, it is. Now, I'm leaving the model level. It's level on the table, and I'm going to hit continue. All right. Now, I'm going to hold the model. You just got to trust me. I'm holding the model with the nose down. Okay? The model is being held with the nose down. Show you. Now, hold on. See, I'm holding the model with it down. I'm going to hit continue. All right. It already knows the position I've got the receiver in there. It's happy with it, so I'm going to hit continue again. Now, here's where you want to hit your gain select channel. This is where you make your gains adjustable. Go ahead and hit this. Okay. Now it wants to know where you want to put it. So you need to highlight it just like before. I like using this roller up here. Okay. So let me set my model down real quick. Okay. Now I like using this roller right here. Okay, so watch what happens when I start moving that roller. It automatically picked aux 8. Click OK. Okay. Now hit next, and now we're going to hit apply. And you listen to the model; those servos are going to dance one time. Hit reboot. They just booted. They just danced the one time. Not safe, just the one time. So now we're going to go back to gyro settings. First time safe setup. Okay. Now I've already got the model sitting level on the ground again, or on the table again. Now it says before you set up safe, you've got to do the flight mode. Now, you could have gone ahead and done a flight mode ahead of time, but why? You have to do it at this step now anyways. Okay, now, once again, it wants to know where you're going to put it. So I'm going to put it in its channel select mode. Okay, and I like using my B switch. So I'm going to click my B switch, switch B, okay, aux 7. Okay, that's where I'm going to put it. That's where I like it. I like it there. Next. Okay, we've already done that. We don't have to pick the FM channel again. We're going to hit continue. And since I put this switch all the way down the lowest position, in other words, the lowest position away from me, okay, that's going to be, that automatically picks it as flight mode 1. Okay, that knows that's going to be where safe is. Let's go to this, go past this one. Okay, now, tells you to level the model. The model is already sitting there level. Highlight that. And it automatically picks some values based upon how the model's sitting there. Well, this is where I like to manually changes. I do this with every single model. It works perfectly. I learned this from two brothers. And then take this and move this to 8. Okay, and just be done with it. Don't worry about whether it's a tricycle gear or a tail dragger. Just put these levels, put these values at this, and you're done. All you got to do. Now you go, well, how do you want the flight mode 1 to behave, which is safe mode? Okay, well, I want self-angle, self-leveling. Okay, you're going to click OK. Now, if you're happy with these values, this is where if you want to change how the values, how safe reacted, this is where you would change them. But I suggest leaving them alone. Go to next and then hit apply. Now we're going to hear a 2 dance. Connect it. 1, 2. All right, that's always a telltale sign that safe is working. All right, go back to gyro settings. Okay. Now, go to your F mode here, okay? You see, I'm still got that, my B switch is in the furthest position down, okay? I'm now going to pull it to the middle position, okay? This is regular. See how it changed to flight mode 2, okay? And that shows that AS3X is active. Now, I'm going to pull this to flight. I'm going to pull the next position closest to me on the B switch. And that'll change to flight mode 3. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit that and make it inhibited. Okay. And then I'm going to go next. Okay. Don't want launch sys. Just want to show you that. All right. Now I'm going to grab my, say, flight mode 3. AS3X is inhibit. I'm going to move to the middle position on the B switch. Now it shows that AS3X is active. And then I'm going to throw it at the bottom position or furthest away from it, or position or flight mode 1. And now it shows that safe is active. Okay, now let's back up, change our positions, and let's look and see what that does, how that looks on the plane. Alrighty. The switch I was talking about is this switch right up here. This is my B. It's in the furthest away position for me, so that's my safe mode. That should self-level the plane. So, look at that aileron there. See that aileron there? See how it's holding its position? Okay. Watch the elevator. See how the elevator is holding its up position? Okay. All right. That way I know that safe is going to work. It will self-level the plane. Okay, now let's see how AS3X is. And remember, I've got it on this knob, okay? And if I have the knob all the way down, the gyro is going to do nothing. If I pull the knob all the way up, then they should be grossly moving, okay? So, I'm going to show you something. I know something's going to happen, and you're going to wonder what happened. I'll put my throttle cut on, okay? Okay, I'm in flight mode 2, and well, look at that. Everything's working because remember, I turned that motor on a while ago. Okay. But you got to get out of, to get the motor to work, you have to be out of forward programming. Okay. Now, got the knob all the way up. And listen to them gyros. Okay, kind of watch that elevator. You can see it kicks up as I go up, which would push the tail back down. Watch that aileron. If I click that aileron up this way, it would push the if the upward movement of the wind was to hit this and push this plane up, then that aileron is going to go towards the movement, pushing that wing back towards the force, leveling the plane out. Not self-leveling, but keeping a light plane nice and steady as it flies along, okay? That's what a wind gyro does. It just counteracts artificial outside forces. In other words, you're telling it to go up or telling it to go down, but the wind is pushing it somewhere else. Well, the computer realizes that that wasn't you, that was the wind, so it just instantaneously counteracts that movement to keep that light foam plane flying like a larger, heavier plane. All right, now, that's my movement is gross, very grossly exaggerated, right? Okay, that would be weight. If I was going really fast, this plane would just start oscillating and doing crazy. There's too much correction. So I turn that dial down, and now just a little bit of movement, okay? And then you're going to be flying along, and you're just going to find yourself a nice happy medium on that gain channel of where you want it. Okay, now let's recap. Make sure all your control surfaces are going the right way. Make sure your throttle cut is on and you do not have any control of the throttle. Go to your forward programming menu, okay? You're going to go ahead and go into forward programming. You're going to factory reset it and bring it back, rebind. Okay, now you're ready. Make sure everything's going the right way. Okay. Let me look up because make sure I'm doing it right. I'm telling you right. You're going to go to your gyro settings. Okay. You're going to go to your flight mode and you're going to set up. Hold on. Well, I have. Okay, to recap, starting over. Recap. All right. Go through the settings. Cut. Okay. Now that we have established that our AS3X is working correctly. Oh, and something I didn't show you. If I go to flight mode 3, okay, and even if I turn that knob all the way up, hey, those gyros aren't working at all. That's because in flight mode 3, remember, I inhibited AS3X. That way it's just you controlling the plane. I like to call that my trimming mode. And that way I'll take off and fly this plane the initial time in that mode to make sure she's all trimmed up, and then I'll go back to AS3X, okay? And then she'll fly that much better because I know she's already trimmed for flight. Okay, now let's talk about AS3X Plus settings. Now, this is personal for everyone, just like Expo is personal for everyone. AS3X settings, the plus settings, which is what this has, is personal. Okay, now make sure your throttle cut's on, and I'm going to show you how I like to do this. Okay, all right, this is how I like setting my jets up. Okay, and this is why. I'm going to go to forward programming. Okay, I'm going to go to gyro settings, AS3X settings, and I'm going to go to my gains. I'm in flight mode 2, which is where my AS3X is. Now, if I go to flight mode 3, look, there's nothing there. There's no choices. But if I go to flight mode 2, which is where my AS3X, I can now change roll, pitch, and yaw. Okay, now let's talk about the principles of this. Okay, where you can actually see. All right, now you've got pretty thin, narrow ailerons, okay? And that is my roll, okay? So I'm going to bump that up to about 45. I want more correction because those are fairly thin, smaller ailerons, okay? Now, the elevator, however, pretty big elevator. There's a lot of surface there. That's my pitch, okay? It's already set at 50. I'm going to reduce that down to about 30, okay? All right. And that's where that's not the rate. That's how how much the gyro is going to react, okay? And then on my yaw, that's a big rudder, okay? So it's set at 60. I'm going to bump that down to 30 also, okay? So now I'm going to have 45 for roll, okay, and 30 for pitch and yaw, based upon how my experience and how a control servo, the size of it. You know, if that aileron over there was thicker and longer, then I would go with less gains. I'd put that down more like at 30, okay? But that elevator is pretty big, okay? And it's, you know, and it goes the entire length, okay? So bumping that down to 30 will be good. And the yaw, that's a big rudder. So I'm going to bump it down to 30. And that's just the principle behind that, okay? Priorities, now this is the default of 140. This is how much priority each control surface is given based upon the whole flight. Now I like jets, I like having them all at 100. All my priorities at 100. That just feels good. And I may be telling you all wrong about how this works. It's just, this is what works for me. My jets, I like putting them at 100. And it just works out well for all my priorities. If this was a 3D plane, I might even go lower than that. If this was a high wing trainer, I'd probably leave it at 140, maybe even go higher. Okay. Now, heading, I don't ever mess with. The stop lock is going to be set at 35. I like bumping them to 50. On a jet, well, actually all my planes, I like a nice crisp stopping point. So I put everything at 50 on that. That's just my own personal preference. And all these AS3X settings, the AS3X Plus settings. Now, stop lock, I never mess with that. I have no idea what that does. And I don't ever mess with it. Now, I'm leaving the gain sensitivity at one-time gains. And I don't have the nose wheel gyro set up because one servo controls the rudder, the nose steering, and it controls the rudder. So I can't split those, okay? So, and that's how I'd come about my AS3X settings, AS3X Plus settings, okay? Based upon how the control surface looks to me, how big it is, okay? So let's recap our settings real quick. High rate on aileron, I'm just going to show you high rates. High rates on aileron are by the book at 70%. I like 30% expo. Elevator, by the book, 85 with 30% expo. I like 30%. I like that much expo. And rudder, I have it at 100 with 50% expo for the steering. Okay. Now, other than that, I've got safe set up on a switch, on my B switch. That way it would self-level. Okay. I have my AS3X, just the AS3X gyro on the middle, just for wind mitigation. And then I have flight mode 3, which is no gyro. Okay, and that's how I do that. All right, other than me going there and giving her, you know, my audio prompts for everything, that's pretty much it. Do my different audio call outs and all that kind of stuff. And I have another video on how to do audio call outs. I'll put a link for it. But that's the basic settings, the basic setup for the AS3X Plus, how to set up safe, how to set up AS3X. CG was 145 for the leading edge. Not so much, it's right here. They want you to go from right. The root usually is here, but there's a line right here. They want you to go from there, and it puts it right about there, 145. I got 2 glue marks there, and she seems to CG just perfectly right there at 145 back. So, well, there you go. It's a good looking model. Can't wait to get it and fly it and show it to y'all. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry that this is how I see AS3X Plus setting. This is what works for me. You know, if you look at around my room, if you saw everything, I've got dozens and dozens and dozens. I guarantee you I've got 50 grand worth of airplanes in here. And a large proportion of those are jets. And almost, at least half the jets have AS3X Plus in them. And that's how I set them up. Okay, and that's how my experience, it works for me. If you don't want to take my word for it, just watch my flying, and then I'll show you here's what we did. So you be the judge. All right, well, folks, thank you so much for watching. X-Fly, thank you for taking $319 of my money. I can't wait to get this out and fly it. God bless y'all. God is good, and don't forget, folks, faith, family, and friends, and C-17 from X-Fly. Bye, y'all.